and take to the 5 students in Pathom 6 students includes 1 is high achievement, 3 is a middle achievement, and 1 student is low achievement. This process, I think that if I want to make sure that the language that I write in the paper, the student can read and understand. You can see one of researcher observe the student. When I take the paper to the student, I will to observe the student and interview the student. Are you understand in my answer? Are you understand in my question? Have any problem? So that I want to make sure that my paper have a objectivity. So the student can read and understand what I want to ask them. So that I justify my test again. And everything ready, I take the test to 60 primary students. I select a middle-sized school where the student has every learning achievement. In this step, I have to tell the student that can you make very comfortable. This answer don't have affect your grade. Don't worry about that. This is your answer to be make sure about the test quality only. Don't worry. You can to do the test in high your ability. Okay? After that, 3 researchers have to verify. After the student answer the question, I have to check the criterion to make the scoring. We have to discuss what is the should to be have the scoring. I have to show that a score of 1 if given for the correct answer, or answer is comfort the situation, and score of 0 for another answer. Like the situation, I will ask about the student to plan to solve the situation. If the student answer correct and involve the situation, they will have a score 1, like this. Look in your paper too. And after that, the data was analyzed to determine the test quality. For the test item, we look for difficulty and discriminative level. And for the test, we determine for test reliability, as like this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wasan. And now, I'd like to summarize the quality of the metacognitive test in science. Number 1, for this, when we consider the index of consistency or IOC, every expert agrees that the developed test align with the metacognition definition. So, for number 1, the index of consistency was 1 for each item. And number 2, the reliability of test was 0.9. Number 3, item difficulty index rank form 0.23 to 0.73. And the last, number 4, item discrimination rank form 0.26 to 0.77. For the next part, I'd like to talk about the conclusion. The metacognitive test was reliable, valid, and capable of distinguishing the students' metacognitive skills. And from the result, the test can be administered to assess the metacognition in primary students. Finally, I'd like to talk about the discussion. From the result, the components and definitions of metacognition, they confront with the theories and students' way of life within the context of the Thai culture, and provides a meaningful learning experience for students. So our group, thank you very much for your attention. สวัสดีค่ะ
Now, the fourth paper to be presented is the development of metacognitive inventory to measure students' metacognitive knowledge related to chemical bonding conceptions.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ms. Patari Rongpayom. I am presenting this research. The other three researchers consist of Assistant Professor Dr. Jinda Tam Banjong, Associate Professor Dr. Somsan Wong Yunoi, and the last person is Dr. Prishan Desi. So three of them are my advisors. This part is as my research dissertation for the PhD. So under the title of the development of metacognitive inventory to measure student metacognitive knowledge related to chemical bonding conceptions. The fact that many researchers have found that assessment techniques which designed to measure metacognition are still a problem because all techniques has pros and cons. For example, interview and think aloud techniques are not appropriate for students who inability to verbalize their answer. Using questionnaires is easier to conduct with a large group of students, but may fail in-depth analysis. Therefore, our research is trying to understand, therefore our research is trying to develop an instrument for assessing this kind of ability. So, the context of this test, we use the task related to chemical bonding concepts. Our task, we ask students, first we give students the task related to chemical bonding concepts, and then we ask them what the task related to and what strategies you use, when and why you use these strategies. So please explain why. The total metacognitive inventory consists of 7 open-ended questions in a written form. This form allows the student to express their idea, what they know about their own ideas, of course, chemical bonding, the cognitive strategies they use, when and why they use that strategies. We pilot 2 times. The first one is we pilot with a subject where a 10th grade students 68 10th grade student in the first semester, and the second times we implemented again with 62 10th grade students in the second semester. Procedure of the development, we first determine the definition of the exactly metacognitive knowledge is. In this study, metacognitive defined as an ability to explicitly think about the concepts concerning metacognitive knowledge. In this study, we classify in 3 main categories. The first one is declarative knowledge, the second one is procedural, and the third one is conditional knowledge. Declarative knowledge refers to the knowledge that learners have about information or resources they need for undertaking the given task. Procedural knowledge is referred to knowledge or belief of how to do something or how the student use the strategy. And the third one is conditional knowledge. We ask students identify when and why they use that strategies to solve the problem that we give. And the next step, after we define the definition of the related terms, the next step we construct the task, the open-ended questions, and the scoring criteria. Here is an example of the task 1. The first, you can see we given information to the student. We give them the table of electronegativity of elements to student, and then we asked that when the given two atoms chemical bond together with pair of atoms are prone to be the least ionic bond. The first one, of course, you can see that it is cognitive level. We ask them whether or not which pair of atoms are the least ionic bond. This is cognitive level. The 2, 3, and 4 questions we are looking for metacognitive knowledge from students. The question number 2, to answer the question above, what the content knowledge related to. This is the example of decorative knowledge. And the second one is display what you thought to obtain the answer for the question 1. So for this question, the student have to explain how they solve this problem. And the third one, explain when and why you use such a thought process above to find out the answer. So for this one, the student have to explain when and why they use that strategies. Some of you might think that because I give the table of the electronegativities for a student, so there must be only one way to answer this question, but the real it is not. The student can use the information we give, or they can have their own strategies. For example, some students didn't use information we give them, and they remember the periodic table. They know that sodium is metals and fluorine are non-metals. When they bonded together, of course, it's ionic. And the last one is carbon is non-ionic and chlorine is non-ionic. Sorry, non-metals. Chlorine is non-metal. When non-metal, C non-metal, of course, is covalent. So we scored it. We give it even though they didn't use the information we give. And the next step is after we construct the questions, the scoring criteria, and the task already, we gave it to verify the face validity to experts. Our experts is contain 3 persons. Domain considerations consist of the first one is the consistency between item objective and item questions. The second one is correctness of query communication. And the third one is correctness of way to answer the questions. The purpose of this state, we use information from this state to rewrite the language again, because some students, they don't understand what we asked. So how they do when they see the question like this, because they never see the question like this before. Even they don't remember or they cannot answer the first questions. Some of them answer the second, the third, and the fourth, and we score them as being metacognitive learners. And we use information from this as an example in the scoring criteria. And we use information from this to find reliability of scoring criteria. We have the 2 raters, and then we calculate reliability of the scoring criteria. Pearson's correlation of consistency between interraters was 0.79. Here is an example of the scoring criteria we use. So the first one is decorative knowledge, procedural knowledge, and conditional knowledge. We have 3 different levels from 0, 1, and 2. The 2 that we are looking for. This is quite clear example and behavior and student answers. If they are clear written in the questionnaire in the test, so we will score it 2. And the next step, we implement it again after we rewrite the language. We implemented to 62 high school students. We use information from this implementation to find discrimination of the items, the reliability of the inventory. The result showed that the item discrimination ranked from 0.31 to 0.94, and the reliability of the test was 0.80. The result of this study regarding the face validity by the three experts, reliability of the test, reliability of the scoring criteria, the index of item discrimination. So from all of this, it is shown that this inventory was qualified to be used as an instrument to measure student metacognitive ability. Ladies and gentlemen, as researchers, we hope that our instrument will be useful for classroom practice. Why we concern metacognitive knowledge? Because metacognitive ability that can classify to metacognitive knowledge, metacognitive control, and metacognitive awareness, it is very important for classroom practice. For students to be able to control themselves, they can know what they know what they don't know, and how much further they have to do to reach the goal of the subject. In teaching and learning process, of course, metacognition affects acquisition, comprehension, retention, and so on. In problem solving in class, metacognitive ability can lead students to become more knowledgeable about their own cognition. If they see the weakness of they themselves, they will revise it, and they can make it more better. Particularly in science classroom, in this study, focus on metacognition helps students in their learning and develop the scientific concept concerning chemical bonding conception. This study is just the first step of trying to understand metacognitive knowledge or metacognitive behavior of the student. So the further research should focus more on metacognitive control and metacognitive awareness. We as a researcher hope that our instrument will be useful for the teachers and for some of you that might be interested in measure metacognitive knowledge of students. Thank you very much.
Hi, I have two questions. The first one is related with the first presentation and the second one with the following two presentations. So first question, you did an amazing job at rating the index, the assessment quality index. I was wondering if you were going to have students involved and doing some think alouds in order to have more information about the quality of the assessment, but from the perspective of the students. And the second question is related with the metacognition knowledges. That framework, the theoretical framework that's behind that kind of knowledge, is it metacognition knowledge in science, or is it all about the framework behind metacognition knowledge? So two questions.
Thank you for your question. Regarding the index, I just mentioned, I call it Assessment Quality Index. Actually, I must say that we, the people working in the Hong Kong Examination and Assessment Authority, create this index. We just think out this index because we want to quantify the quality of a particular subject's assessment design. So this is a very intuitive way to make the comparison. And I think, of course, we need some expert panel to do the final say and see whether or not this index is workable or not. But for the time being, we find that this index can at least give us some visual impression of how well or how bad a particular design is. And I think this index needs to be further modified or further adjusted in future when we got some more experience in this area. Thank you.